Corruption is a global phenomenon that undermines democracy and economic development. It's like a parasite that siphons resources away from where they're needed most. Today, we're diving into the world of corruption by exploring the 10 most corrupt countries according to Transparency International's 2023 Corruption Perceptions Index. This data provides valuable insights into countries where bribery, misuse of public funds, and lack of accountability are prevalent. By understanding these trends, we can work towards a more just and transparent world. So, buckle up and get ready to learn about the challenges of corruption and the countries facing them head-on. This talk will equip you with the knowledge to identify the signs of corruption in different parts of the world, grasp the global impact of corruption from hindering economies to stifling human rights, understand the ongoing efforts to combat corruption and how you can be a part of the solution. By the end of this talk, you'll walk away with a deeper understanding of this critical issue and its far-reaching consequences. Now, before we dive in, like the video, hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever encountered corruption in your travels or everyday life. Your experiences can add valuable insights to the discussion. Number 10. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan, unfortunately, holds a very high ranking on the Corruption Perception Index by Transparency International. With a score of 18 and a ranking of 170th out of 180 countries, it's clear corruption is a significant issue, which significantly impede economic development and human rights. Corruption deters foreign investment and restricts access to essential services like education, healthcare, and justice. Despite anti-corruption laws and national plans, their impact is limited due to weak enforcement and a lack of independent oversight. A culture of impunity and a fragile justice system further complicate anti-corruption efforts. To support change, individuals can raise awareness, support transparency-focused NGOs, and demand ethical practices from businesses involved in Turkmenistan. Persistent advocacy for good governance is crucial for the nation's progress. Number 9. Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea suffers severely from systemic corruption, reflected by its low score of 17 on the Corruption Perception Index. The ruling elite, particularly those connected to the president's family, allegedly misappropriate revenues from the country's significant oil and timber resources, resulting in widespread poverty despite national wealth, a phenomenon known as the resource curse. This corruption stifles economic growth, deteriorates infrastructure, and leads to human rights abuses such as arbitrary arrests and restricted freedoms. While international investigations and civil society efforts seek to address these issues, internal attempts at reform often face repression. Advocacy for transparency, responsible investment, and public awareness are essential steps toward mitigating corruption in Equatorial Guinea. Number 8. Haiti. Haiti's severe corruption problem, ranking 172nd out of 180 on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index, significantly hampers economic development and undermines human rights. Corruption misallocates funds away from critical sectors like infrastructure, education, and healthcare, discourages investment, and weakens public institutions. It limits access to essential services, perpetuates poverty by undermining education, and allows human rights abuses to go unpunished. Efforts to combat corruption include the government's Unit for the Fight Against Corruption, ULCC, civil society activism, and international support from organizations like the UN. Individuals can contribute by supporting anti-corruption NGOs, demanding transparency, raising awareness, and patronizing ethical businesses. A multifaceted approach involving both local and international actors is crucial for creating a brighter future for Haiti. Number 7. Nicaragua. Nicaragua is deeply mired in corruption, with a Transparency International score of 17 out of 100, placing it 172nd out of 180 countries. Under Daniel Ortega's presidency since 2006, corruption has surged, negatively impacting economic growth, deterring foreign investment, and undermining public trust. This corruption permeates various sectors, including business, public services, and law enforcement, and is often linked to human rights abuses and impunity. Efforts to combat this include the work of civil society organizations, independent media, and international bodies like the United Nations. Individuals can contribute by staying informed, advocating for transparency, voting responsibly, reporting corruption, and promoting ethical behavior in their communities. Number 6. North Korea. Corruption in North Korea is rampant, placing the country near the bottom of Transparency International's 2023 Corruption Perceptions Index, where it ranks 172 out of 180. This pervasive corruption forces citizens to bribe officials for survival and severely impacts economic growth, deters foreign investment, and hampers development. Moreover, it leads to significant human rights violations as officials prioritize personal gain over citizens' welfare, resulting in repression and abuse. Efforts to combat corruption include the work of civil society organizations, independent media, and international bodies like the United Nations, which strive to raise awareness and hold authorities accountable. Individuals can contribute by staying informed, advocating for transparency, raising awareness, and promoting ethical behavior within their communities. Number 5. Yemen. Yemen, plagued by severe corruption, ranks among the most corrupt countries globally, significantly impairing its economy and human rights. Corruption diverts vital resources from crucial sectors like infrastructure, healthcare, and education, exacerbating poverty and creating unfair business conditions. It also undermines the rule of law, leading to widespread human rights abuses where basic needs often require bribes. Efforts to combat this issue include international pressure on Yemen's government and initiatives by local civil society organizations to promote transparency. Individuals can contribute by staying informed, supporting anti-corruption groups, demanding governmental accountability, and raising awareness about the impacts of corruption. Collective action and persistent effort are essential for fostering change in Yemen. Number 4. South Sudan. South Sudan faces severe corruption, reflected in its low score of 13 on Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index. This widespread corruption misallocates funds from crucial sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, stifling economic growth and deterring investment. It also undermines human rights by weakening institutions responsible for essential services, fostering distrust in the government, and potentially leading to social unrest. Efforts to combat this include anti-corruption laws and civil society activism, though implementation is challenging. Individuals can help by supporting anti-corruption initiatives, demanding transparency, rejecting bribes, and spreading awareness, contributing to a more accountable society. Number 3. Syria. Syria is plagued by severe corruption, ranking as the third most corrupt nation according to Transparency International. This corruption severely impacts the economy and human rights, diverting resources from essential services and fostering unfair business practices. Ordinary citizens face bribery demands for basic rights, undermining the rule of law and justice. Combating corruption is challenging, but international organizations and civil society groups are pushing for reforms. Individuals can support these efforts by aiding anti-corruption organizations, raising awareness, and demanding transparency. Although change is challenging due to entrenched interests, collective efforts can promote a more transparent and just Syria. Number 2. Venezuela. Venezuela grapples with systemic corruption entrenched within its government, epitomized by the pervasive influence of organized crime and high-ranking officials' involvement in illicit activities like drug trafficking. Notably, figures close to Nicolás Maduro, such as Tarek El Aissami and Diosdado Cabello, have been linked to large-scale criminal operations like the Cartel of the Suns. Corruption extends beyond narcotics, infiltrating sectors like food distribution and resource exploitation, exemplified by cases involving Alex Saab's manipulation of subsidized food programs and oil contracts. This corruption not only undermines economic development and deters foreign investment, but also contributes to human rights abuses, fostering repression and impunity. Despite these challenges, efforts persist to combat corruption through civil society activism, independent media scrutiny, and international oversight. Individuals are encouraged to stay informed, advocate for transparency, raise awareness, and promote ethical conduct as part of the collective endeavor to foster a more just and accountable society in Venezuela. Number 1. Somalia. In Somalia, corruption poses a pervasive challenge across public and private sectors, evident in its abysmal Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index score of 11 out of 100 in 2023, ranking last globally. This corruption cripples economic growth, deters foreign investment, and undermines human rights, perpetuating inequality and repression. Despite these grim realities, Somalia has established initiatives like the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Joint Financial Management Board to combat graft and promote transparency. Individuals can contribute to this fight by staying informed, advocating for transparency, raising awareness, and promoting ethical behavior in their communities and workplaces. Collective action is essential for fostering a more just and transparent society in Somalia. And there you have it, folks. 10 most corrupt countries in the world. Corruption is a global problem. What are your thoughts on the best ways to tackle it? Share your ideas in the comments below.